daughter died, wrote the story, but then just like kind of got lost and like they're like he's like one of the only people that kind of implies they're like the only ones that really take the book seriously and like it a lot.
Okay. And why would Van Houten want to bury the memory of his daughter?
Because it was really sad and it was hurt him a lot, so he just wanted to write, but to make it ease the pain. Sometimes it just like makes you remember even more.
So, Anna, do you think Hazel would agree that writing buries? Does it bring back to life, or do you think she'd disagree with that statement?
I think that she would agree, but then I don't know if the letter made her sad because it just ended with her saying that she liked her choices. So I wanted to know if it made her sad. Well, I think she does agree a lot because she says on the same page, the universe devoted to the creation and eradication of awareness. Augustus Water did not die after a lengthy battle with cancer. He died after a lengthy battle with human consciousness as victim, as it will be, of the universe's need to make and unmake all that is possible.
So how does that support that writing buries?
Because right after she wrote that, she waited for people to like reply to that, but no one did, and just more and more posts came in, and then it just got forgotten really quickly.
That's interesting to kind of think about this quote in light of the fact of Facebook and things getting buried in the message feeds. Huh. Interesting. If we could actually look at the end of the novel. So it's his letter to her. But Olivia, whose voice is it at the end? It's her, right?
Yeah, she kind of responded.
And I would make the opposite argument as you and say that I think she would disagree with it and say that writing does resurrect, right? Like this was like her getting that last breath of Augustus, those last words that she wanted so badly. And like the fact that she talks back to him, basically to herself. I do, Augustus, I do. Like to me, it makes it seem as though he's almost there. Like he's still there in her heart. Like he's resurrected. So interesting. It's open to interpretation. Okay.
It also kind of makes me think of when she's on the phone with the third space. Like when she's reading the letter, like she says that, but when she's on the phone and previously in the she says that she's in this like third dimension.
Like this is kind of like eternal existence outside.
Except it kind of is gone when I didn't see it. Yeah, it felt like it was their secret space. Like
Okay. Has the script discussed at all about characters who you ended up liking or disliking over the course of the novel?
Yeah, we did that probably. I didn't like Peter Van Houten at first. Then I started to like him a lot more when I really found out like why he was so bitter. Then I didn't not like Augustus, but he wasn't my favorite character. I got
Yeah, if you haven't discussed Van Houten yet and how his character developed and what it does to the reader, the way that you get information about him, I think that would be a really good place for this conversation to go. There is 277 is a good page to look at. And then 285. So I'll go ahead and write that. So I would look at those two pages and see what you think of the character, how the author makes him more sympathetic with time. Because I know that like, when you first meet that character, everyone's just he's a hot mess. So go ahead. Excellent job thinking about the ending.
So, right when we meet Van Houten, he's like kind of like insulting everyone, and like he's kind of clueless, has like no social intelligence. He's just like kind of like thinking, doesn't think before he's saying something. Just blurts out all these things, saying like stuff. But then on like 277, after the funeral, when he's in the car, maybe that was
I thought that meant like
What?
that her
What your group said about the ending of the novel?
what the group said ending of the novel was some of I think some of what made it book because the ending doesn't make sense. Bendu said he doesn't want to be tall. Yeah, he said he wants to be himself. And some of like groups I was like what's called a what's it called? And if cancer is and it's the
Because why?
affliction, like the
So, a little hand up if you enjoyed the ending. If you liked the ending. You thought it was...
well, I liked it, but it's interesting. They talked about instead of Jason, like Jason.
My thoughts are sorry, I can't fathom it.
So you wish it had ended with Jason's day of Benny.
Your thoughts are all like jumbled and
Deanna, what did you feel about the ending? How did you feel?
there is still something
It's
of
kind of
him or
confusing.
by
Okay, so
floating around. I knew.
was anybody able to talk a little bit more about why the author might have wanted to end with Benny?
I don't think it was
Did anybody explain that? He didn't quite understand that. Jeremy is. Okay, so everybody go ahead and open to your discussion section of your packets. And let's, if this last couple pages was confusing, let's go ahead and look back at them, because I'm pretty sure we can shed some light on what Bennu actually represents and why the author might want to end with it. So let's go ahead and open up till the end. Page 193.
Never stated by dreams coming true. There's always a thought that everything might be done
So you
better
can
again.
see the author, right, is talking about Jason and wraps up Jason's story right
Your
here.
dream is having
When we
your
get to the end of this section.
then you would go on first.
So,
then your next dream is a
This,
story.
the author
Like,
could
you
have
know,
chosen to end the
it's
story
gonna be
right
big.
here, and it would have been just
Pretty
fine,
much.
right?
Then my last one was
It shows that Jason and his mother are
kind
finally
of showing how
understanding
like
it.
one they could be.
But the author chooses to put in another page,
Very weird.
page and a half, of Bennu. So, how was Bennu's story told throughout this book? Arthur, you know, with that, how was it told? Was it told as like one chapter, or did it come up a lot? How did the author present this story of Bennu?
Well, when at the beginning, the first time he saw Rebecca, then he writes about Benny and his operation that it didn't work, and then he changed his story that he doesn't want to change himself. So maybe Jason also doesn't want to change himself now.
Yeah, I think you're on to the deeper meaning of Bennu, which is exactly what I was going for. But in terms of how the author's presenting it in this story, how does the story of Bennu get told throughout this? So you said it happens with Phoenix Bird, so it's told on what? Where is he typing this? His computer, and he's uploading it to the what? So he's loading it onto storyboard, and it kind of like helps his relationship get started with Rebecca, Phoenix Bird, right? So he tells the story. He goes back and forth in all these little sections, right, about how he's a writer and what it means to be a writer. And then he actually lets the reader read his story about Bennu. So Arthur was saying something really key here. Arthur, can you say one more time who you think Bennu represents and why?
I think Benny represents Jason because always when he writes something that also happens in his real life, kind of. Yeah.
Does that make sense? So for Jason, what is Jason struggling with?
Learning. Like when he like sees somebody's face, he sees different things.
Right? So learning and faces. And does anybody remember what the diagnosis he has is called? Autism, right? So ASD. So that's Jason's problem, right? That's his difficulty he's encountering. He's learning how to deal with it. What's Benu's issue?
Being taller.
Can you speak in complete sentences, please? Benu.
Bendu's problem is being tall. He wants to be taller, and Jason wants to learn what it means when people smile on faces.
And so, even though they have different problems, Benu can still represent Jason. And that's going to be called when something stands for something else, and they do it directly. They never say, Benu is like Jason. They don't do that. That would be a simile. But they're saying, Benu is Jason. He's a different Jason. So that would be a... No? You can either kind of say it's like a symbol, like he symbolizes Jason, or a metaphor, what Deanna just said too. So, what's so beautiful about the story, let's go ahead and read the last paragraphs on page 194, the last paragraph. So remember, they say to Benu, we can change you, we can fix you, we can come bring you in and give you a surgery so you'll be tall. And when Jason was having a really tough time, he wanted to be different. He was so sad about Rebecca. And so he made his character Benu say, yeah, I'll take the surgery, make me normal. But now we can see what he actually feels by the end of the story. Okay? So, bottom of 194. All the while, Benu is certain about what he is going to do about this surgery. He has made up his mind. After his shower, Benu dries off and then goes into the bedroom to take out the specially made clothes that fit his body. He pulls his belt an extra notch, and he takes one final look at himself in the mirror. Then Benu goes to the doctor's office, and this is what he says. Sorry, Doc, I changed my mind. This is who I am. This is me. So how's Benu feeling at the end of the story?
He doesn't want to change himself, same as Jason. But instead, Jason will learn.
Except for touching the wall.
So what do you think the reader, Deanna, what do you think the reader's supposed to learn from this? What's the theme, the message we're supposed to get? Could you hear that, Arthur? Can you say it again?
You are who you are, you are.
So you should learn to like, what?
Oh wait,
So if you are who you are, you're yourself.
this this theme makes me remember Malika in the book.
Say it louder, Nate.
In the skin I'm in. Oh yeah, the skin I'm in. It's the same theme.
It is. So I'm actually going to leave you right now. I'd like you to talk about how this book is, how Malika's story is similar to Jason and how it's different. Since Arthur wasn't here to read the Skin I'm In at the beginning of the year, if you could kind of throw him in with a little bit of a summary of what happened in that book. Okay? So talk about the Skin I'm In and how the character of Malika, characters of Malika and Jason are similar and different in their conflicts. Okay? Go for it.
Okay, so Arthur, since you weren't here at the beginning of the year when we read The Skin I'm In, I'm gonna give you a summary. Okay, here's how the summary goes. There's this girl named Malika. She's in 6th grade. Wait, 7th grade. And she is going through conflict. She met this guy named Layla.
Yo, what?
We're talking like so much. So there's this.
Tell me one of the most exciting things you guys have been talking about.
Then we got like a life cycle, how she keeps growing and stuff, and how at the end of the book, well, I guess on trial over again. Yeah, and she said